the likelihood of a fight with you and Terence Crawford. It would be one of the biggest in boxing.
We're not talking about yet about the fight. Me and Turki know each other, and then we went.
The possibility of a fight between you and Terence Crawford would be among the greatest in boxing. Although we haven't discussed it yet, Alec has been relentless in his efforts to get Terence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez into the ring with a staggering $95 million offer. It appeared as though boxing's next big super fight was imminent, but Crawford, much to the surprise of many, has now turned down the offer. If it isn't Canelo next year, are you done from the sports world? I wouldn't say that at this time. I'm simply waiting on my alternatives and searching for Terence Crawford's greatest professional chances. The reaction wasn't what you would anticipate from a boxer who is ostensibly eager for glory and history. The world is split on whether this was a smart move or a lost opportunity. He said that he wants to watch Terence "Bod" Crawford versus Canelo Alvarez. What are your honest opinion on that as a prospective bout and an opportunity? Oh, he always has a shot, right? We'll see, but there's always a possibility, and our goal is to help you get the greatest discounts. Turki is still committed to making the fight happen and has offered to speak with Canelo personally to agree on a price. However, what is fair when one boxer stands to lose everything and the other gets to win a sizable salary and indisputable legacy points? Canelo has previously said that he places a great importance on his bouts, particularly those that put his reputation at stake or draw criticism. For him, a battle with Crawford would provide him with money, which he already has, and not much else. Legacy aware, there is no genuine credit for defeating Crawford because of this disparity. That fight is the same for me. I don't need to take that fight because everyone is going to say it's too small, and then you know he needs to enjoy his fight, okay? Fans would still be left wondering why he wasn't fighting David Benavidez or another real threat at 168 pounds. Logic battle Canelo would provide him the type of recognition, legacy and payday few boxers ever get. It's an opportunity to make history and earn money at a level that's uncommon in the sport, but this fixation on one name has led to an odd dynamic. Turki assured Crawford that he could fight whomever he wanted, but Crawford had no interest in other people. For someone of Crawford's quality, fighters like Jiren Boots, Andy's Sebastian Fonda, or even David Morrell are seen as a step backward because people are saying things like, "Hey, forget about Canelo. That was a tough fight with McGough. Go ahead and give Boots a chance." But Eddie is saying, "Hey." I think Crawford is saying, "Hey, give me the Canelo fight or I'm not fighting, I'm done." Why did he get to P to Boot Boot have to take over and start beating the guys around him? He's the best of that group, so B doesn't need to come back down to 47 to meet him. Avoiding these conflicts, for example, may not be the best course of action for Bo, who is trying to create history and escape. Boost Crawford's standing while providing him with a buffer so that he can readily blame Benz's stature, youth, and physical strength for the outcome if he loses. The same is true for a raw BBF or Dimitri Bivol. Facing one of these formidable opponents would generate a lot of media attention even if Crawford didn't win. It's not just about winning, it's about proving to the world. I think it's business talk, but Crawford doesn't seem interested in taking risks that don't come with the reward of fighting Canelo, and his singular focus has left some fans wondering why he would take them. Realistically, have you forgotten about the Canelo fight since he stated he wasn't interested, or are you still pursuing it? Does he want to be the best, or is he not prepared to risk his perfect record against rivals who may not have the same degree of notoriety and wealth? With every day that goes by, the criticism gets louder. Fighters like Benades and Morrell are calling for big fights, and Crawford's decision to pass up these chances doesn't sit well with a fanbase that is eager for action.
Wants to see Canelo Alvarez versus Terence "Bud" Crawford. What is your honest thoughts on that as an opportunity and a potential fight?
Oh, it's always is a chance there, right? We'll see, but always is a chance there, and we're here to make the best deals and all.
Canelo, on the other hand, has his own battles to think about, and his possible fight against David Benavidez is the matchup that fans are genuinely demanding, and it's one that could earn him the respect he deserves, but even that battle is not without its challenges. According to reports, Canelo is demanding an outrageous $200 million for the fight, which makes the $100 million offer for Crawford seem like a steal. If Canelo is waiting for such a large payout, it's difficult to see him fighting Crawford for less, especially when the stakes are much lower. Height of Johnny Boy's boxing match. Would you mind sharing your thoughts on Terence Crawford with me? Given Terence Crawford's performance, and if the money is right, I'm talking about $100 million, do you want to fight him? Although his enthusiasm is admirable, it's obvious that he might be underestimating what it takes to get Canelo to the table. The promise of a fair price may seem reasonable, but Canelo's history suggests his not. I heard that Turkey offered you a large sum of money already. The dynamics of this situation are messy to say the least. Why should someone at this stage of his career take less than what he believes he is worth? Why should Canelo begin doing that when he has nothing to prove that his legacy is secure and his financial future is predetermined? What's going on with Turkey? Turkey said that instead of using an intermediary, he would like to speak with you directly. If it's a company, I'm willing to speak about it regardless of the circumstances, since I never turn down business. However, Crawford's circumstances are different. He's in a position where his reluctance to face anyone other than Canelo is so perplexing because a fight against Ben Aids or Bivol would not only be a good fight, but it might even be better than fighting Canelo. Losing to a much larger opponent would come with built-in excuses, and the publicity would still be enormous. Fans would respect the courage it takes to enter the ring with a bigger, stronger foe, even if the outcome was not favorable. Didn't go his way very easily, and yes, he is a tough guy to deal with, and 12 rounds is a long time, but Crawford has a very deep bag of tricks and a great, high boxing IQ. We always watch him early on, gathering information about his opponent, Imanol, who was a tough opponent that took him many rounds to figure out, but on days 9, 10, 11, and 12, he started pushing that pace and was able to get his hands off and get those. But rather than considering these possibilities, Crawford has decided to focus on Canelo. Although Crawford has made it clear that he is willing to go above and beyond to make this fight happen, his decision to decline Turkey's $100 million offer sends a mixed message. On the one hand, it suggests that he is serious about not coming across as desperate for the fight, but on the other, it raises doubts about whether he is genuinely interested in taking on the best challenges available for Turkey. The harsh reality is that Canelo holds all the cards, and he knows it. If Turkey wants to make this fight a reality, he will need to provide something genuinely remarkable that goes beyond a large salary. As for Crawford, his options are becoming fewer and fewer the longer he waits, the more the boxing world changes. I just want the chance to fight the most accomplished fighter in my generation, who is currently making waves, and I would just like to fight fighters like Ben Aids Morel and even BBV. Crawford's relevance is eroded by this lost opportunity. Although he may not find these fights appealing right now, they could ultimately be the stepping stones he needs to secure the legacy he desires. Despite all of this, Crawford chose to fight Madoff, a bout that, in Canelo's opinion, didn't exactly establish Crawford as a worthy opponent, even though Crawford won by a unanimous decision. The Mexican superstar Victory Canelo made it plain in his speech to combat hype that Madoff deserved a better finish. I believe he understands why there are weight classes there. He had a good fight, but in my opinion, he lost or drew. On the other hand, they say all the crazy things about me getting heavier and going through a difficult time, but he gained weight and lost. That's the difference. I gained weight and won, he gained weight and lost. Well, let's not do that, Canelo. Throughout Crawford's career, Canelo has been more than simply a spectator. Many people anticipate seeing him in the ring. Canelo's criticism of Crawford's super welterweight debut as anything less than stellar undermines any momentum Crawford hoped to build toward that possible fight.
Tough fight with Madrimov. Go ahead and give Boots a shot. Give Boots the chance. But Eddie's saying, hey, I think Crawford's saying, hey, give me the Canelo fight or I'm not fighting. I'm done.
Why? What do you got to prove?
From Crawford's point of view, his debut in a higher weight class was meant to be a statement. This criticism would come from him should Crawford make the full leap to super middleweight. Despite having just 11 professional bouts under his belt, Israel Madoff's amateur background and uncoordinated style made him a serious contender. Crawford showed glimpses of his typical brilliance, but Madoff was successful enough to make the fight competitive. The others say, no, that's 2 more weight classes, because they fear that once he is hit by Canelo, it will be different. They are worried that he will slow down, especially over the course of 12 rounds. Promoter Eddie Hearn wasn't hesitant to express his displeasure with the result, claiming that Madoff was unfairly judged and that Crawford didn't do enough to win the title. Some in the boxing community believe that criticism by itself clouds the victory, but when coupled with Canelo's devastating decision, it begs the even more important question: why would Canelo consider fighting Crawford? Canelo's position is distinct. He is not just another champion, rather, he is a unified super middleweight kingpin, a fighter whose every move is scrutinized. To fight Crawford after such a lackluster debut at a higher weight class would surely draw criticism from fans. If I'm being honest, I don't think Canelo really wants the fight because he feels like he won't get much credit beating a light middleweight, and Crawford will move a lot in that fight, which isn't ideal for Canelo. However, he might be accused of picking on a smaller, weaker opponent, especially if Crawford falters against him in the ring. For example, even if Canelo wins decisively as many would anticipate, the narrative might quickly turn against him, so the risk doesn't seem worth the return. Rather than rejoicing after yet another victory, he would be accused of favoring a smaller opponent whose weight-up was, at best, dubious. Crawford's unanimous decision against Madrimov may have given him another title and made him a four-division world champion, but it also raised questions about his capacity to compete against fighters of greater size, strength, and skill. For Alvarez, who thrives on establishing his legacy against fighters of higher weight classes, a fight with Canelo is less alluring. Deserving opponents a match against Crawford now seems more like an unneeded risk than a moment that defines a career. Someone asked Turki whether this was occurring while he was playing games. Take a look at his reaction about Crawford and Canelo. Make the fight, Turki. While not yet well known, Canelo is a natural super middleweight with knockout power and youth on his side. His bout against Edgar Bunga demonstrated the stark difference in stakes, and his win against Berlanga strengthened Canelo's supremacy inside the division and preserved his legacy. Conversely, a battle with Crawford doesn't provide the same degree of approval. Viewed through this lens, Crawford's situation becomes even more complicated. Madoff was supposed to be a stepping stone, a way to demonstrate his ability to compete at higher weights and justify the hype surrounding a Canelo showdown, but instead, the performance gave critics ammunition and increased Canelo's skepticism. What you know about Canelo's fighting style and his demeanor in the ring, according to your expert opinion? I understand that you haven't fought alongside Terence, but what do you think? I genuinely think that anything can happen in boxing, you understand what I mean. Terence Crawford is a legend, and he's a fantastic fighter. The only reason I think I like him is because of his weight, yes, and the fact that he's bigger. That's all I'm saying, but in terms of skill set and IQ, I think Cord can probably match anyone. Much better, you understand that perception is crucial in the boxing business. On paper, Crawford's victory could seem to be another victory, but Hearn and Canelo's responses paint a different picture, emphasizing a performance that, while enough to earn a title, wasn't compelling enough to dispel concerns about Crawford's fitness and weight classifications. By challenging Crawford's performance, Canelo, who is known for his pragmatic approach, seems to be thinking outside his comfort zone and not just throwing shade, but also influencing the outcome. The story: if a fight breaks out between the two, Canelo wants it on circumstances that benefit him financially and in terms of legacy. Until then, Crawford's future may need more than just titles. It will demand performances that are
very effortlessly. He's a tough guy to deal with, and 12 rounds is a long time. But Crawford has a very deep bag of tricks. He's got great, very high boxing IQ. We always watch him early on. He's collecting data on his opponent. Madrimov was a tough nut to crack. It took him a lot of rounds to figure it out, but 9, 10, 11, 12, he started really pushing that pace.
Questionable. It's a simple fight for me, easy money. So if the money is right, I'm in because, as you know, I don't want to fight someone like Crawford, which is something his victory against Madoff failed to bring for me in my weight class. Move a lot, but the battle isn't really good. I saw Crawford at the last fight, and he doesn't move all that much anymore, so obviously, if the money is right, why not? As it stands, the gap between Crawford and Canelo feels wider than ever. Canelo is content with his reputation as a pound-for-pound great, so he doesn't need Crawford to cement his place in history. However, Crawford may not feel that way. In order to genuinely elevate his legacy, he will need to persuade both Canelo and the fans that we want the NES to tell them that we are going for Canelo next. He is a worthy opponent, and after Madoff, That is a harder sell than anyone anticipated. However, it appears that it will remain a conversation rather than a reality because the obstacles are much more complicated than agreeing on a multi-million-dollar purse. As the top boxing attraction, Canelo Alvarez already has unparalleled financial power in the sport, but his alleged $200 million salary demand to confront many people see David Benavidez as a deliberate obstacle rather than a sincere expectation. For a boxer of Canelo's caliber, every action is deliberate, so it's a method to avoid the fight without explicitly rejecting it. He accepts a bout with Crawford, who is more smaller and less experienced, as there are hazards associated with being super middleweight that extend beyond the physical realm. Eddie Hearn explained why there are so many obstacles in the way of this possible bout. Speaking to Combat Hype, Hearn clarified that even though, to be honest, I'd be shocked if the battle took place, but His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh seems less excited about the clash. Although Canelo has been fighting smaller men his entire career, Hearn acknowledged that it didn't seem like it was something he really wanted to do because of all the antics he has been doing and saying in the media about his size, how he won't get credit, and other such things. I asked Canelo about the fight and received a direct response. I believe that Canelo is hesitant because of the story that would probably be told if he defeated Crawford. He believes that everyone would say, I defeated a 154-pound fighter. Hearn clarified that this notion gets to the heart of Canelo's problem. The battle against Crawford is a lose-lose scenario. If he prevails, detractors will write it off as inevitable versus a lesser foe. If he loses, the criticism will be much more severe, raising concerns about how a generational someone who moves up 2 weight categories may surpass a talented athlete like Canelo. The size difference is a major topic of discussion and not merely a talking point. Despite his talent and domination, Crawford has not yet proven himself at 168 pounds. Crawford's weaknesses were exposed by Madram Mo, a natural super welterweight with a cunning approach but no professional experience. Demetrius Andrade, another well-known voice in the boxing world, offered a direct critique of Crawford's odds of speaking to Hub TV at 168 pounds. According to Andrade, Canelo is a fierce wolf who can run all night. I believe Crawford is capable, but when it comes to Saul taking punches and blocking power punches, Canelo is also nimble and not like a robot. Also, Andrade's analysis emphasizes how difficult it would be for Crawford to win such a fight because of Canelo's ability to absorb blows, control the pace, and adjust in the ring. How can you expect a guy to come from 14? I am aware of his greatness. Crawford is a fantastic guy and fighter, but you came from 147 to fight better. Although I recognized Crawford's indisputable abilities, he voiced uncertainty about the result. Even though I don't think Crawford can defeat Canelo, I still believe he can put up a nice fight, and I'll be watching. Even if Crawford is considering leaving, Andrade stated that the belief that he could be out of his depth is not unique to him. It is a generally held belief in boxing circles. Up 2 levels, it's doubtful whether such a jump is feasible. For Crawford, who has established his reputation at 135 pounds, 140 pounds, and 147 pounds, the adjustment would be monumental. He did fantastic. You know, I can't. Hey, A++ is one of the best offensive fighters in the game. One of them definitely is. What makes that, you know what I mean, is that he's just relentless. Fighters like Canelo, who has been competing at super middleweight for years, are used to the size, strength, and endurance required at that level. Pressure, but smart pressure, as you know, is also a factor in Canelo's hesitancy to face Crawford. The Mexican superstar has stated time and time again that he wants to fight the best opponents in order to keep his place as the sport's top attraction. For Canelo, the matchup carries a far lower risk of reputational harm than facing. He always has a shot, right? We'll see, but there's always a possibility, and our goal is to help you get the greatest discounts. Turki is still committed to making the fight happen and has offered to speak with Canelo personally to agree on a price. However, what is fair when one boxer stands to lose everything and the other gets to win a sizable salary and indisputable legacy points? Canelo has previously said that he places a great importance on his bouts, particularly those that put his reputation at stake or draw criticism. For him, a battle with Crawford would provide him with money, which he already has, and not much else. Legacy aware, there is no genuine credit for defeating Crawford because of this disparity. That fight is the same for me. I don't need to take that fight because everyone is going to say it's too small, and then you know he needs to enjoy his fight, okay? Fans would still be left wondering why he wasn't fighting David Benavidez or another real threat at 168 pounds. Logic battle Canelo would provide him the type of recognition, legacy and payday few boxers ever get. It's an opportunity to make history and earn money at a level that's uncommon in the sport, but this fixation on one name has led to an odd dynamic. Turki assured Crawford that he could fight whomever he wanted, but Crawford had no interest in other people. For someone of Crawford's quality, fighters like Duran Boots, Andy's Sebastian Fonda, or even David Morrell are seen as a step backward because people are saying things like, "Hey, forget about Canelo. That was a tough fight with McGough. Go ahead and give Boots a chance." But Eddie is saying, "Hey." I think Crawford is saying, "Hey, give me the Canelo." Facing Crawford, and Crawford's options are becoming more limited. A fight with Canelo would be the pinnacle of what he could accomplish financially and historically, but the path to that fight, if prevented by circumstances beyond his control, even Turkey's significant financial support could not be sufficient to influence Canelo if the Mexican believes the bout doesn't fit with his legacy objectives. The biggest obstacle is probably the size disadvantage. The way those statistics translate in the ring at 168 pounds is more important than simply the numbers on a scale. The thought that Crawford might overcome such a disadvantage with technique alone is alluring, but Canelo's blows bring a level of power and authority that Crawford has never encountered. Impractical in the opinion of several experts, Canelo's methodical approach to his career guarantees that each battle he engages in contributes to his legacy. Although monetarily rewarding, Canelo's victories against natural super middleweights or light heavyweights provide a greater sense of vindication than his triumph with Crawford. The story is just as important as the outcome. Crawford's prospects of defeating Canelo Alvarez are based on his indisputable talent, ring IQ and adaptability, which allows him to transition between orthodox and southpaw techniques with ease. Every weight class he has faced has been perplexed by stances, timing, accuracy, and ability to take advantage of an opponent's vulnerabilities, which could possibly cause problems for even a fighter of Canelo's skill. Moving up to 168 pounds is the obvious hurdle, but Bud's footwork and defensive skills should help him dodge Canelo's strong combinations and generate openings to counter. Despite Crawford's dominance at 147, super middleweight body is very different. This division's beast warriors are innately more powerful and forceful. At 168, Canelo is an experienced fighter who has used his strength to defeat opponents like Caleb Plant and Billy Joe Saunders in a variety of weight divisions. In addition to his strength, Crawford would also have to deal with Canelo's IR chin, which has taken hits from some of the sport's hardest hitters. This would make it more difficult for Crawford's body to support the extra weight without sacrificing speed and stamina, two of his most important advantages, while his skill set could be comparable to or perhaps better than Canelo's in certain ways, but the difference in height and strength might make those benefits less potent. Crawford may be overpowered by Canelo's ability to shut off the ring and enforce his way on bigger opponents, particularly in the latter rounds. Music, as the likelihood of this fight fades, Crawford's future becomes more difficult. In order to establish himself as a real danger to Canelo, he would have to demonstrate his abilities against elite opponents weighing 168 pounds each. That sounds overwhelming considering the situation, but until then, the Crawford-Canelo showdown discussion will be just that, a discussion. What do you think? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more updates.